Greetings, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Dreamscapes. Today, we have our friend ThatDarnKitteh coming straight to us from Dubai. Right back to her in 2 seconds. For my part, would you kindly like, share, subscribe, tell your friends? Always need more volunteer dreamers. Always need more viewers for the game streams. And brain fart. 16 currently available works of historical dream literature. The most recent, Dreams and Their Meanings by Horace G. Hutchinson, lovingly reproduced, recreated, and enhanced by yours truly, your friendly neighborhood dream wizard. All this and more at benjaminthedreamwizard.com. Also, if you want to head over to benjaminthedreamwizard.locals.com and join the community there, it's like me and one other guy, so you'd be number 2. And you can also, I'd prefer to receive sustaining donations through that site, but there's all this and more links in the description below, etc. That's enough about me. Back to Kitteh. Thank you for being here.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for scheduling me in.
Absolutely. I'm glad we were able to make it work. I've been watching your streams pretty regularly. I love what you do. And I'm fascinated by that, the debate diagrams. I mean, was that how your channel started, or how did you get into that?
Okay, yeah, I'm a gaming person just like you. And not the same games though. But yeah, what actually I got a bit more traction and stuff from the diagram stuff on YouTube. So I've moved away from the gaming streams on YouTube, even though some people have said maybe I should go back to gaming and put gaming in between. Anyway, well,
yeah. Well, now that you've got a little bit of an audience, they'll follow you over and listen to you game. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, the people interested. Thanks. The people interested. I mean, I did have people literally follow over onto Twitch because that's where I was putting my gaming. So they went there. So I guess same thing happens. People just want to hang out. It's the same person. So, and why dilute the amount of people if they're interested in both things? Then cool. Yeah, so that's what I was initially that's all I was doing is I was streaming games and yelling and doing all of that.
I do that too. Yell at the
yeah.
game. 2 reasons I yell at the games. I'm going to interrupt you sometimes. You interrupt me, please. 2 reasons I yell at the game: in fear and in anger. So I was playing the game Outer Wilds. I don't know if you ever played that, the one where there's a time loop.
I haven't watched.
Yeah, it's actually fantastic game. I would say maybe don't watch the ending of my entire run, but check out some of the episodes. And there's a part where you go through what is essentially like an underwater area, and there are these giant chompy fish, and you can't move fast enough to get away from them. And I just yell at it, no! Once they eat me alive, and it's like I get a visceral feeling. And then also when a game is like broken and the controls don't work. I'm like, what the and I just lose my shit. Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Why is this impossible?
You had one job. You had one job, literally. It was just to be a controller.
Yeah. My big frustration with that is I can't tell the difference between, am I attempting to do what I'm supposed to, but I'm doing it poorly? Or am I attempting to do something that cannot be done and frustrating myself? And very often I can't tell the difference in some of these platformer games. Am I beating my head against a wall, or am I just poorly executing what the game designer intended me to do?
I know that I'm executing. So
I know.
I'm privileged that way.
That's usually more likely. Now, for me, I don't pretend to be good at video games. Or people are not watching my channel for speedruns. That's not going to happen.
That was never my intention either. There's nothing.
Well, speaking of the video games, curious, what is your genre of games you kind of like typically?
Well, I have been playing Monster Hunter since 2016. So, that's not a long time for a Monster Hunter person. Monster Hunter's been out forever. But that was my game that I got stuck on for years, just wanting to play and just playing over and over and over again. So basically, adventure co-op game is my favorite. And as much as I love animals, I'm killing the meowsters in Monster Hunter. So right,
monsters are kind of made to be killed.
That's my main game.
Except the cute ones. I don't know. It makes it. Oh, it hurts my face, but you have the thing I need.
Yes, I need the thing. Give me your crystals. Give me your spare parts so I can make more weapons to kill you with.
That is that is definitely I kind of like the medieval fantasy setting. It's one of my favorites, but also the style of game, the co-op. I love Left 4 Dead 2. It's been out since 2009 or so, and that still has thousands of people playing every day because you get together with a team of people. I don't like PvP. I like
That's
co-op PvE is more my thing. So so you'll never find me playing FPS shooters. I'll just take headshots all day and get nowhere and be frustrated. That's not my skill set.
I mean, it has its place. I have played those as well, because I just get carried by my friends. It's also I just like playing with my friends. And so that's fun and I've just had the most fun. We did co-op PvE and PvP in did you ever play Red Dead Redemption Online?
No, I never got into that one. See, for me, the genre also matters. Like cowboy genre, not my thing. I'm like, it doesn't, I don't feel it,
Yes, we went through phases, but I always come back to Monster.
Yeah.
Because there's also cats in it. So,
of course.
I get stuck with that.
Yeah.
You get a cat
My addiction used to be the MMOs, the online, and I played EverQuest for like 5 years when it came out from like 99 to 2004. I'm an old school, way back when. Before games were this digitally, I mean, the graphics are just fantastic these days. We're heading towards lifelike simulation pretty soon. I think we're on this like exponential curve.
Do you have a VR?
No, but I think that's coming, for like as a more ubiquitous thing.
Yeah, it's one of the things. It's gonna happen at some point, but I don't know when I'll take that leap, but I would want a full setup, like the proper thing that you can run on. And
I know the little containers with the platform. Yeah.
Imagine video gaming and exercising at the same time instead of just sitting.
Well,
I would be the most active person in the world.
Well, that's what this garage originally was. I had martial arts mats all over the place. I've actually got a television mounted to the wall here, and it's got the Xbox 360 thing. And I used to play stand-up games and move and do all that kind of stuff. That was part of my exercise.
I wish the Kinect became bigger. Like it just went away. That Xbox Kinect thing.
Yeah.
That was, and there was a PlayStation Move or something, but I remember Xbox was so much better. I used to go to the stores just to play those games. It was just so cool that anyway,
it is pretty cool, and it was a little like for some of the dancing games. My wife and I used to do that together. Try and do the beat each other's scores, dance next to each other, and it always had detection problems, and it wasn't that accurate. And sometimes you'd move, and it wouldn't really. You'd move too fast. Well, the game wants me to move fast, but the technology can't keep up. Yeah, that's a big deal. But
jeez.
Yep.
Just a bit off a bit. Then it could more than it could chew. There you go. There's the distance. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. It's and I didn't know that the technology went away. I've gotten away completely from consoles like this. The Xbox was the first console I'd bought since the SNES back in like 93 or 92, way back when. I haven't owned a console since then. I've been strictly a computer gamer. If it wasn't available on computer, I didn't play, which is why.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You're a real gamer with computer.
Right? PC Master Race for the win. Yes. I've even got the hair. Whoa. Like the guy. No, which is why I've got now finally The Last of Us. I've wanted to play it. Great game from all I've heard. Finally available on Steam at $60. I'm not paying full price yet, but as long as it was exclusive to PlayStation, I was never going to play it. I guess that's not a game I can play. So,
it's just not. Yeah. Nobody needs to be going out and buying a PlayStation for a game. I wouldn't have done that. I'm buying a PlayStation for a PlayStation.
Yeah. And I've never been much of a even games that I play on my PC that have controller compatibility, and I don't use controllers, mouse and keyboard only. Like that's a whole different muscle memory.
You see, okay, I would if I played it. Okay, if I played long enough, I would get into it because I used to play PC, but when I once tried to just get into PC, just doing some game on the PC, and I was actually like unable. I could not. I was like blind and dumb. I was playing, couldn't move because I didn't have the muscle memory that made moving normal anymore. Because I'm like, no, where's the controller? That's it.
Yeah.
I need controls. And actually, Monster Hunter. If you play Monster Hunter on PC, you're gonna actually use a computer. You have to.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm glad they make that compatibility for people, because for me, and I'm also a weird subset of the PC gamer mouse and keyboard. I don't use WASD. I use the arrow keys.
Oh my I could be that person. There are gamers like that.
Oh yeah,
I could be.
I've been that way since Doom in 1994. I started playing Doom, the original Doom, or Doom 2 maybe, on the PC way back then.
I was using the arrow keys. I was not. What's it? ASWZ, all of that. No, I use arrows.
Yeah.
I changed it on purpose, and then I guess I mean.
And then people give you crap.
They gave me crap, but then also I just didn't have a fast enough computer. So
that too.
I fell
yeah.
out of game. So,
people go, "That's weird." I say, "No, it's special. I'm special."
It's unique.
So we covered the gaming thing a little bit, and then eventually. So how long ago would you say you started the debate diagram thing? What inspired that? What was the first one?
In March of this year. March of this year. Yeah. So what happened was I was watching Sitch and Adam, which is just like the one of my favorite binge watching channels.
A great show. Everybody should subscribe. Shout out to Sitch and Adam.
Yeah, Sitch and Adam. I've just always watched them. I'd watch them when they were separate and then together and whatever. And they had just a debate on, and like usually I would just be listening, so I never would go into chat or anything like that. But anyway, not that I went in on this particular diagram of this particular debate, but yeah, I just got so, when I listened to this, it was so stupid what these people were saying, and I was like, no, I have to do this. I've always wanted to do it because it's just something that I want to do. I have this need to write diagram things, which I've spoken about, but like this one just it was the breaking point that actually just made me go and actually do it, because I've had the idea for a long time. Like, nobody wants to do it. Nobody needs to look at that. But I was like, you know what? I want to spend my time doing this diagram for my own sanity.
Yeah.
And I went and did it to just follow this conversation, because I wanted to understand why it was frustrating me so much. Why is what they're saying so stupid? It was Bob and Dane. Organized chaos versus organized chaos and actual fandom versus situation.
I think I remember watching that one live. Yeah, and that was pretty recent.
Yeah, it was this year. So I watched that, and then what I did is I actually streamed it on, because I don't stream to YouTube, so I streamed it to Twitch. My one friend pitched up because I was like, look, I'm not doing gaming today, but I'm going to do this. What do you think? And he's like, okay, fine, whatever. And he just came there. And then also one of the gaming people came as well. And he's usually there just to make like jokes and stuff. And he actually got involved. Some people got involved while we were doing it. It was actually really fun. So it was the first time I did it. And then I just uploaded the VOD to YouTube and tagged all the people involved. And I knew that tagging could make them notice it, for sure. But it was kind of just a thing of you're reviewing somebody's content, so you should tag them. Like I've spent hours watching somebody's content on my stream. I'm going to tag them. And then Adam actually saw it, and I couldn't believe it. Like, as I'd uploaded it or something, just he by chance must have just come across it. Because I mean, it's good hygiene to be checking when people are mentioning you and stuff. And yeah, he commented, "Oh, this is great." He commented on there, and that blew my mind. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then they gave me a shout out on their channel, and they invited me just to have a bit of a chat at the end of one of the streams, and that got me quite a lot of subscribers and a lot of views on that particular diagram. And then some people, then I did a second one on YouTube, and then some people came back, and we've actually. You're part of it now. You're part of that little.
Got to regularly show up in the chat. Yeah.
And it's like, what are we doing now? What? And then people are suggesting different debates and things. So it's growing. It's still growing. It's not where I want it to be. I want to edit things a lot more, cut stuff up, and do maybe better analysis that is on top of the diagram, and all of that sort of stuff that I haven't gotten to yet. But yeah, that's me. That's what happened. So it got got that shout out and it really went mad.
Yeah, I think that is exactly how I found out about you. Like, oh, who is this person? Debate diagrams. I've been, and I've been in the chat, of course. I call it like ASMR for Aspies. I love it. I love it so much. Pause. Diagram this. What did he just say? Why is this stupid? Why is this a tangent? We're not even on the main topic anymore. They went this far down and now we're calling back to this thing that was never settled. So many, I'm going off now, but so many discussions and debates online go horribly wrong because there's so many reasons, but a lot of times the thread gets lost. And I've even noticed it in debating people in a Discord thread. By the time you get so far down, you're actually on a completely different subject because you try to make a point and you give an example. Then they're debating the example. Then you're debating the analogy about the example. Now you're deep into the analogy, and it's like, wait a minute, we're not even on the same topic anymore. And I'm like, what are we?
And you were just trying to get on this. It wasn't actually what is the goal of us talking. Mm-hmm. That's that's the difference between I think a debate and a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously there's always. What is the point of a debate, really? Because nobody's changing their minds, really, in that conversation.
Not the participants, yeah.
Not really. Yeah, not the participants. The people that are listening go,
yeah.
And I guess that's the point.
Kind of a performance for the audience, yeah.
Exactly. And what you see in these things, like what I've seen is past each other, and there's just this continuous use of those sort of tactics of like, I'm just going to pretend this is what you said. I shall straw man, and then we're just going to spend 2 hours on the straw man. And I have a perception of you, person I'm debating, that I'm going to keep for the rest of this whole interaction, and I'm going to just interpret you in this manner. It happens all the way. But then we did that Blair White and Destiny conversation, which was
it was a good talk. They just talked to each other. Brilliant.
There you go. And then they didn't agree on everything, and that's not what the whole point was. And it wasn't a huge debate, but they just disagreed with each other, and it was so nice. And you see that, and see how much you could get from a conversation like that, and then you go back. We went back to some other kind of what was Ethan.
Oh yeah, that was painful. I don't know.
We didn't finish.
No. And you know what? If you're down the road on something and you're like, this is awful. This hurts. I don't enjoy this. I don't want to do this. Especially if you're the content creator and like, I'm not enjoying this. Now it isn't, it's work sometimes, but really there's also a part of it where you need to kind of you can't fake that enthusiasm, or you shouldn't. I don't think. I think you should be genuine. And if it's, I think if it's awful, you just say, this is awful. I don't want to do this. And then you ask the audience, which is an interesting thing. It brought to mind audience capture. And I'm like, I understand why that can be a bad thing. Then again, it's your audience. If they don't want to see it either, they're like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't want to do this. They don't want to do this. Why am I subjecting all of us to this?
Yes. It's a game. It's a negotiation, because you're like, okay, well, guys enjoying this, okay, fine, then maybe if you guys can keep me going, then I'll continue. But like otherwise, and that I just needed one person to be like, no, and I was like, thank God, okay, we're done, I'm done. And but I've had those debates where I've just felt I can't do this anymore, and I've been tired of it, whatever. I've had those, but then with this one, but then I still want to go and finish it because I need to finish it. I don't like the idea that this is finished. We didn't get to the part that I was
that bugs me too sometimes.
This one, it wasn't like, I need to get to the boss fights. I was like,
there was no boss in that fight. It was both level 1 minions that just couldn't get their shit together.
The objective was to die, and I was just like,
And it's it's kind of sad. I mean, I think everyone universally agrees. Maybe not everyone. That's hyperbolic, but the broad assessment that I've seen of that particular debate is, one side was bad faith and the other side was a bad advocate. That's it's like we're not getting anything done here, and it's we don't need to get into that too much more. Like I have all kinds of things to say about why it was horrible, but I love the diagramming thing. And then in terms of your process, and I'm sorry, I keep talking over you. Go ahead.
sorry, no. I was thanking you for coming onto Thinkers, just the group podcast, whatever. And we'd love to have you on again.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Even if it's not about dreams, you're always welcome.
Oh, thank you. Well, I don't want to be intrusive. Well, thank you. It's just good to feel welcome. I appreciate that. And I will. I absolutely will. No, I'm not making excuses. But there's an interesting thing, too, is like, just like you got a shout out and it blew up your channel a bit and you're trying to make it better. I want exactly the same thing. There's this idea of clout chasing. Which is bad. But I am also, you're damn right, hoping to ride coattails. I hope this episode with you blows me up, too. Why wouldn't I? That's how we do it, right?
No, literally, they put it in YouTube. They're like, have a collab, a suggestion, have collabs with other creators. Like, yeah, but the thing is, it's genuine though, so it's not like it's okay. Yeah, we're just kind of pretending to like each other.
Yeah. There's no ass kissing going on here. It's just like both of us wanted to do this thing. Yeah, and I think it's interesting too. It's like, speaking of the idea of audience captures, I'm a bit immune to that because what I do is what I do. It's just, it is what it is. Now, if certain videos get more likes than others, it might be a fact. Well, I'll lean into that. I'll be like, okay, it seems to be, that's what people like, but it's not going to change the format of the show where I talk to people and then we do a dream. That's what I do. If people don't like it, I'm just never going to succeed. I can't do anything else. This isn't going to turn into anything but that. And then, I do I cut out a clip and I make a YouTube short. It's all advertising in that sense. And actually in terms of my inspiration, I got inspired by Styx Hexenhammer. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love Styx. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I followed him since 2016, the whole election coverage and all that good stuff.
What is clanker? Oh, they
clank. Very nice. We are clankers. I can't clank because all I've got is my juice in a bottle and my mouth is so dry today. I don't know why, but anyway, he inspired me the idea that I could publish a bunch of books. I could do what he does. Now he's probably got like 1,000. I mean, that guy's an amazingly productive productive guy. I cannot match his energy level. But I'm like, I can do that too. I can find old out of print works that are in my specialty and it serves a dual purpose. I mean, I'd like to make an income from it. I'd love to sell 1,000 books a day for the rest of my life. That'd be fantastic. And they're out there forever now. So hopefully passive income, but also the idea of this, doing the books was my own master class in teaching myself the history of dream interpretation. What has been said about it? What are the theories? How can I incorporate that understanding into my method? And it turns out what I was, in my own estimation, be it ever so humble, what I was intuitively doing is the right way to do it, as far as I can tell. Yeah. And I still don't understand what I do. I call it using my autistic superpower, my naturally scatterbrained associative thinking. And my head just goes, and I get all these ideas. And I'm like, let me tell you everything, all the ideas, and you tell me what works.
I love that. No, that is, God, that is, I've seen it. I've seen it work in the Dreamscapes episodes. It really does.
Nice.
So, it is a superpower. It is like a superpower.
Well, there is. So that's part of it too. But the other half of it is like, I'm not the authority. The answers are not in me. It's all inside you. So all I can do is say, here's what it could be. Here's shapes I see in the dark. And you tell me which one feels right. Which one you go, not that. That one, go ahead.
Yeah, bounce off each other. You help me think. Like you doing, if you're giving ideas, then what resonates, I have to
resonates.
Say.
Yeah.
Then we can go forward. Like if it doesn't resonate, it's not good. Of course not. That doesn't make sense. Why would the way it looks for you mean something in my mind? My mind generated the dream. So it's common. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So but the thing is, the way that your mind goes and bounces off all of these things, it's ways that I might not have gone, and that's what I'm looking for. Here as well, and to pick your brain as well, because I don't have a set. Okay, so I've got like, if we're going like, because we do a dream, right?
Yeah,
I've got like several dream things that we could go through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and a question.
Sure.
So okay,
well, let's do the question thing, or ask me anything. Yeah.
Okay, so AMA. So what I have had, is there, I haven't looked into it. Is there anything that exists of any theory of a dream map? No, I'm thinking of map, but like a dream world. that somebody might have, a place that they return to.
Yes, absolutely.
Is
That's the thing. Yeah, it seems to be a rare thing, but it is a thing that I've had. One of my past episodes, a person says, "So this is a dream world I always return to. Same places. It's like the same city, and I'm in different locations in it." Or, yeah, that is
like there's this relative map of, because I can say where certain dreams have happened in relation to other dreams.
Nice.
So not all the time, but I could say like this is where this. Maybe it's just my imagination growing it around, my conscious mind growing it around, and then it feels like that's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I could literally be like, I used to have, like, there was, okay, no, this island thing over here that's where that dream happened.
Yeah.
And then over here is where this dream happened. Like, I actually have that kind of thing. So I was wondering if you had experienced that before, because I was like, maybe I'm just making it up and then putting all of these things together. But clearly my brain has made some sort of thing out of it. There's a reason that it feels connected, that it feels like if I went like this, that's where that dream would happen.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
I think there is.
We can have another episode, because next time I have one of those, I'll have to write it down properly, because it's a very long time ago that I had that sort of. I haven't been there in a while.
Okay.
I don't think I could tell. Like, a recent dream hasn't occurred in that area.
So it's not every dream. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not every dream.
Yeah,
So,
I think the last person I talked to said it is every dream for them. That it's always connected. They always return to the same world. And the interesting thing about dreams is that literally it's all taking place in your head. So none of it is physically real. There's no way that your dream can be wrong in that way.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You saw what you saw, because it was all imaginary. And I don't want people to confuse the idea of imaginary with fake or wrong. It's just, the root word of imaginary is image. It is what you saw. It is what it is. It's just like feelings can never be wrong, but compared to objective reality, they're not always right. Sometimes you'd be frustrated with someone, but you had the wrong impression. So your emotional response was based on a misunderstanding, therefore wrong, technically. A real feeling, but not appropriate to the situation, like paranoia, fear out of proportion to actual danger in the environment, that kind of thing. So if you have the experience, the feeling or the certain knowledge that one dream took place in the same world as another dream, it is absolutely true. And it did. Why? That's the trick. What is the connection? Yeah. I would love to give you an answer for that. That's a theory I need to work on. Why does that happen? There is a reason. I think I'm certain there has to be a reason. I'm sure there is some reason. My intuitive guess in that direction is that there's something about that particular dream world that is like the hub of a connected set of ideas. So that anytime you are exploring, say, maybe broad category with multiple different exemplars or variations, anytime you return to that broad category, it puts you in the same category dream world. And now you're going to have a different experience there because you're analyzing a tangent of that broader topic, whatever it is. And if we could identify what that topic was and how each of those dreams relate, something might happen. Or at least it'd be interesting to know.
Next time it happens, emergency dream session has to happen now.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll just do voice and just record. I need to do a dream diary when that happens. But it hasn't happened in a while. But these are old dreams that also recurred a lot, so I knew where they were. So that's also another thing. So that was my question on that part. So that's interesting. So I'm glad. So we just have. I don't really know about how much I can go into that. How it actually, there's so much vagary that I would go into, so that I can leave it. Yeah. Then there was the one thing that when we first brought up what you do. First thing that came to mind is I've never had anyone to speak about this. I've spoken about it with therapists and things, but we never really spent too much time on it. But it was the fact that for many years, most of my dreams, speaking about location again, but most of my dreams actually took the format of all of that people were, they happened in my high school or school. or school. And this was while I was out of school, many years out of school still. And the people that would have featured in it, all of my classmates, they would all mean, that's all I would think is, okay, they mean something. Each of them represents something. That's why that they're there within the thing of school. But this thing of school was the reason that I was stuck in that. And I cannot tell you what brought me out of it. Maybe I don't know, it was because I was in college. I don't know if that was it. That's what my brain.
There's a comparison to be made, yeah. Back in school.
So there was that.
Yeah.
There was that one thing of school, right? And school and the people and it just not. So even if my brain is trying to figure something out about normal life, say, even if it's like we are talking about buying a new fridge, and then I'm going to talk about buying mundane dream kind of thing. Like I'm going to talk about buying the new fridge. It's in the school kind of thing. So locations are very a big deal for me, I think.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then also one of the recurring features of that even went beyond the school thing was one person from school or two people from school that would keep coming back. And they would just be fixtures in my dream. And I don't speak to them, nothing, but they just always occur. So that's the characters. There's two characters, both of them at some point were my close friend. So I can't really give you much more narrative on that other than, gosh, I don't have a specific dream.
That's okay.
That I could really go into. I was hoping I could speak to you and then let it come, So there was that. Okay. Then the last thing that we could maybe talk about is more relevant and more now our time is I have recurring dreams of having hair on my tongue. And I have to, I can actually pluck it out. It's like hair like this, my head, and I can actually go and pluck it out. And that is a big image in my dreams in the past few months. I mean, I've had them several years, but like that would be the one that we could go on.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, love to get into that. Well, there's two things. You've actually mentioned two categories of typical dreams, which is part of what I've discovered from, and you will discover too if you buy my books. There are a variety of typical dreams. Are they available on Kindle? Say again, sorry.
Are your books available on Kindle?
Yes, I do make digital ebook versions of almost every book. Some of them don't translate as well, but there's almost 1-to-1. Each book has a digital copy. They're not as good in my estimation because I'm not able to control the formatting as well. And some of I have to leave out some of the appendices that show you what page things are on. Because it just doesn't really work as well. So if I had an appendix that is, every term and author and citation and whatnot, and it shows you the page it's on, the physical copy, I get to delete that for the ebook. And, good luck. It's so much work. I can't wrap my brain around how to do it. And maybe it's very simple and I've never figured it out. But so I would say, the ebooks are priced significantly cheaper because you're getting all the work I did in editing the content to make it presentable, with less features than the physical copy. I'm a physical book guy. I mean, buy the real thing.
It's just that having now the experience of literally trying to get a comic book, or not even a graphic novel from America.
Oh, getting it shipped out to you, yeah.
Yeah. Getting it over here was the problem. But you know what? If it's I would rather have the full. If there's something missing, I'd rather wait for that whole shipping thing. And then just buy a couple together, and then so that it would also make. So yeah. Anyway.
Well, and something I've been thinking about with guests is actually offering people every guest, like, you get a free copy, pick one, I'll mail it to you. And I think that's probably the best way. And it might not be cheap to ship it to you to Dubai, but it might be worth it. Like, I get it at author's copy prices, so it's already cheap for me. And it might be, I don't know how much. I'll find out if we talk afterwards.
Yeah, we'll talk there. I'll pay for shipping for it. Definitely don't.
Get a significant, like free book. You're not paying for the book. You're just paying for the shipping. That's fantastic. I hate to ask guests to do it. It's like, I'll ship you a book if you pay for it. Like, I should just give it away. I should just send it to you as a thank you for coming on the show. But also like free promotion. Like if you like it, you go, oh, this is great. Look, I got Ben's book. Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing I wanted to ask you as well. When it comes to the book, is I would want to know, like, where do I start? Okay.
As I say, there are 16 currently available works. A lot of them, and to be honest, they duplicate each other's material. So I'm reading. It's a funny thing. You said you went to college. Yeah. One thing you'll notice if you go to college, and anyone who didn't, I'll give you a heads up. You study a specialty. Like I got my degree in psychology, and what you do is there's Psych 101, and there's all the basic concepts, and you learn a lot of the terms, and then every single class after that, it's a repetition of a lot of the same material, but from this perspective, but as applied to this category or field. And I think it's the same in a lot of different studies. So that's kind of how I look at it with the book things. You're going to get a lot of repetition and a lot of unique application of stuff based on the author, their unique focus and specialty, but you can almost pick any one of them. Some of them stand out as distinctly unique. The first one, The Court of Curiosity, is specifically the work of a French knight writing a long-ass letter, his research, to a French noblewoman, telling her, here is what dreams mean based on my study. And he's referencing dream interpretation of the ancients in a way that's more dream dictionary focused and fixed. If you dream of this, it means that. So there's that. That's a specialty kind of thing. The second book I did is a explicitly Christian perspective. It is a preacher from the 1600s giving a sermon that he wrote out on divine dreams, dreams from God and dreams from the devil, and how to tell the difference if you're a good Christian. And there's a tremendous amount of honestly poorly translated Latin that I did too. And that's another thing you get with the with the physical copies, is the footnotes on the page. So if I write out a Latin thing, down at the bottom is the translation that I put together myself, which I think it's close enough.
Jeez, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, that one took a long time.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I launched into was a what I call a trivium, a 3-book set that was an anthology of shorter works chronologically listed. So there's that, and then there's I want to say it's book 6. I think it is called Studies in Dreams, and it was specifically a British woman's book about her experience with lucid dreaming and flying. And yeah, it's good stuff. And then I've got one of my bestsellers is actually book 10, A Witch's Dream Book, which is kind of a reproduction of a pop culture dream book from the 1800s, that the kind you'd buy at the local store for a penny, that kind of a thing. Cool. Books are not a penny anymore. A penny used to be worth more. Probably my most recent favorite. And I'm making this all about me. I'm supposed to. You're the guest, but
no, I just want to hear about it.
Okay. Well, I hope that the audience finds it interesting too. One of the, I can't remember what the number is, but it's Dreams in Homer and Greek Tragedy. And it was this guy's dissertation to become a philosophy professor. And he was talking about, here's all the literary exemplars from Greek mythology and Greek tragedy and the works of Homer, the Odyssey and the Iliad, and how the Greeks understood dreams based on how dreams were represented in their popular media at the time. That's a fascinating work. I love that one. And it's just basically, edited and republished a guy's doctoral dissertation and heavily footnoted. There's like 400 some odd footnotes in that thing. And I put them all in the back. I'm like, wow, there's just way too many. So there's actually an entire appendix that is all the footnotes that were longer than entire pages. If you want to read those, you can, because he's referencing a lot of stuff, the exact page number of the work that he found this information on, commentary on it. It's great stuff. I would read the whole thing, and I did. But if you don't want to do that, you can just read the part where he discusses it and skip the footnotes. That's fine. But that's the extra value I try to add to these things. You can find other copies of these works online. In my humble opinion, they're not as good as mine. I think mine are the enhanced editions.
I'm interested in it. Definitely. And now you've just made it more difficult for me to choose. I guess it's just like, get them all. Okay. It's just going to take me a while to read them all properly.
Right.
put a lot of that in, like the footnotes and things. Like the footnotes are there for a reason. You can't leave them.
Yeah. Well, what I put in there too is like if they talk about, they'll say, according to the theory of Bergson, you're like, who the fuck is Bergson? Okay. Well, it's Henry Bergson or Henri Bergson. He was a French philosopher. And like down in the footnote, it's like, here's the guy's full name. Here's his lived and died. And then a description of who he was. French philosopher, famous for XYZ. I actually have a whole encyclopedia I'm putting together of every one of these things I've looked up. Because if I read it and I don't know what it is, or I don't think the reader's going to know what it is.
A book to read the book. Yeah.
There may be a published Encyclopedia of Dreams someday. That's all the historical figures and whatnot. Yeah. I'm working on it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that is so, that's a massive undertaking, but you're enjoying it?
It keeps me busy. Yeah, actually. So I do a little weekend gig for some extra cash, but this is my 9 to 5. And actually I'll spend 10 to 12 hours a day doing this stuff. I'm editing video, I'm editing books. I'm doing the business paperwork and stuff in the background, you know, those kind of things. I'm always doing something. Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like, do what you love. You'll never work a day in your life. I don't feel like I'm working. It's just what I get out of bed to do every day. So I love it. I just need to be a little more successful. It just needs to pay the mortgage and then we're good.
You know, just the little thing of living.
Yeah. I got to pay the bills, unfortunately. Well, okay. So before I forget, there were two things we talked about. So typical dreams. One is a return to school days. That is an entire category. I'm back in school. Now that encompasses I'm naked in class and I'm embarrassed. I didn't study for a test and anything and everything else that is set in school. It's a very iconic and intense period of time that stays with us. I mean, when we're a kid, we're an adolescent, we're going through puberty, we're growing up, we're making friends, we're making mistakes, and then we graduate and now we're what? Suddenly I'm an adult and all of that gets left behind. And I kind of equate it to why are there so many anime set in Japanese high schools? It is the same type of exposure. We're going to return to this common cultural experience that everyone has because we think about cookie cutter schooling in America. It's even more rigidly cookie cutter. One Japanese school is pretty much identical to the next. They run them all the same. Not exactly, but it's more identical than in America, say. And the other category is dreams involving the mouth. And it's also a very common dream, very typically the dream of teeth falling out, but it can be a lack of ability to speak. It can be hair. Actually, you're not the only one. The first one who says, the idea of hair coming out, or pulling other things out of the mouth or pulling teeth with your fingers. These things happen in a lot of people's dreams. The mouth it's a human feature that we all share. And we all use it in the same ways, or at least the range of possible uses and typical uses is identical from person to person. So that's where we get into, in my estimation, that's one shade of meaning on the collective unconscious style of things. So, right? Yeah. There's lots of different layers to that. Now there's one layer of people understand the collective unconscious as a psychic connection. Like there's a floating field of psychic ether out there that we all are connected to. That is possible. I don't know. That might be where dreams of deceased relatives come from. That might be where psychic premonitions of future disasters come from. That's the thing. People had dreams before earthquakes, the San Francisco earthquake, the downing of the Titanic. People dreamed about them. In retrospect, people look back and go, well, if you had a dream that the Titanic went down and it didn't, you wouldn't notice that. You would just, so there's a bias, possibly a confirmation bias. But that's one layer of now there's another layer of the collective unconscious that was closer to what Jung meant. And there were theories at the time that humans have an ancestral memory. It's almost like it's baked into our DNA in some ways. So there's people who say dreams of flying are an atavism, an atavistic or ancestral throwback to the time when we were, our ancestors were fishes floating the ocean before they ever walked up onto land and became monkeys and then humans. It was that's one theory. So we have a kind of visceral sensation coded into our DNA of floating in the ocean when our ancestors were fish. That's another layer of it. And that can also go to, there's modern theories of saying, generational trauma, which has also two separate things. One, it can be baked into our DNA. We have a we get passed down a stronger central nervous system fight or flight response. Maybe that comes from our parents because of their trauma. Sure. The other side of it is generational trauma is usually behavioral in terms of like, your grandfather kicked your father's ass, your father kicks your ass, you kick your kid's ass, and then the beatings continue. Yeah. Someone's got to break. There's a cycle of violence.
The behavior.
Yeah. And then with the layer of collective unconscious that I work on most specifically in terms of my dream interpretation is the common human experience. We are physical beings. Constituted in the world. We all have mouths and ears and legs, most of us, that kind of thing. But because we do, and because we use them to interact with the world in specific ways, they're going to have a certain range of meaning in the dream context. Yeah, just went off on that whole thing. Go ahead.
No, that's what I was, when I have this memory of reading, just because, I also studied psych, and but it was just I just landed up the one day I was browsing a bookstore, and I just landed up looking at it. It was in the classics section. It was one of Jung's books. Yeah. We do readings and things about like from Jung, and it's in my textbook and all that, but we never actually went and had his whole works and said, we're studying Jung. Yeah. So I actually was reading that, and the collective unconscious, I should have bought that book, because that is just the little past the amounts of like 10 minutes that I spent reading that. It was the most incredible thing. I was so excited about it because it just made so much sense. With the kind of like the common, there was some sort of reference to that kind of ethereal thing, but mostly just that we have shared experiences because we have shared human condition. Mm-hmm. And that made so much sense. That was the first time I'd really thought a lot about Jung's dream interpretation, kind of the way that he was doing it, because that's how it was laid out. And I was like, that makes so much sense. You can't come and tell me the dream dictionary kind of, okay, this means this means this. But it made sense that what he was basically, what I'd read there was basically saying, it depends on the mind that it's created in. But there are within all of our minds shared ideas that it just that it seems like also just our brains will just manifest that in that way. They will do that, teeth falling out. Those sort of things are undeniably like a collection of human experience. Like there's an undeniable. So I understand the dream dictionary having a collection of dreams people have had that are similar. Yeah. That then generates. That's why I'm interested in your books as well. That sort of thing. Like how much of that older stuff can we look at through this lens that we're talking about now? And obviously, like you were saying in your previous episode, the different dreams mean different things. Could mean different things societally.
The different people. Times. Yeah.
So like looking at the collective conscious of a certain time period would also be cool. But yeah, I'm doing it's so cool. It's so exciting. So this the teeth thing. So that's really what, because I can't give you an exact narrative really. I don't have one like fresh in my mind. But that's what I wanted. When we start talking about that, then I can maybe give you more examples of what my dreams are like when I've got teeth falling out. And what? Well, you said the hair removal thing. It's the hair, because that nobody has ever spoken to me about the hair in the tongue one. I haven't really read up on the meaning of that. The teeth one, everybody talks about teeth, but the tongue, haven't met anyone who's had the same dream one. I
have heard of it before. So that's one of the benefits of, two couple of things. Like I want to loop back. I get brain explosion. I would say, in terms of going to school, the difference between someone who is degreed and barely competent and really tries to master something is school teaches you in some ways how to research, what qualifies as reliable and good research, what the breadth of theories is. But you don't often read the source material. They might tell you, oh, check this out if you're interested, but here's the summary. You're getting the Cliff Notes versions of a lot of things.
Yeah, because you got to go to your next class and
and you got homework to do, and you got maybe you got a part-time job, and you got family, and I want to hang out with my friends sometimes, and I'm hungover, all that good stuff from college. Whoops, not high school. It shouldn't be hungover in high school, please. But what makes someone, I would say, more of, mastering something is really going on and doing that reading. So, well, let me go to the source material. Let me actually tackle that and look at it. And some of it's very hard. I've done that with a lot of philosophical works, because that was kind of my first love, and it laid the foundation for then what would come after. Is like, there's often very few new ideas. There's just new ways of looking at old ideas, or there's new ways of saying old ideas that sound new, but they're not really. So we get a lot of repeating things. People go, oh, what about this idea? I'm like, that was Aristotle 2,000 years ago. It's not new. And they're like, what? Like, why are you always trying to cite all these old people? Like, because they thought of it a long time ago and it's been addressed. This is not really new.
Yeah, it's the same concept.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
So just that idea, not to toot my own horn, but if you're going to really try to master, say dreams, do the work, do the reading, look into it. And that's why I'm sticking with that specialty. It's like, it's too much. If I branch out too much, it's too many books to read. So
yeah, no, that's the thing. I would have also wanted to have done in my life is be an academic. You're living my dream here. Like this just like just reading, learning. Oh my God. It's
well, If I may, prophecy, we'll do the scrying into the crystal ball dream thing. I think you've got a unique product in the debate diagrams. I've never heard of anyone doing that. And I think you could master that as a specialty and really turn it into something. Like you said, you want to take it to a next level in terms of produced videos. There may be, I think if you continue on this path, you do the work, you keep for me, the more dreams I've interpreted, the better I get at it. So the more debates you diagram, the better you'll get. Then you'll start seeing patterns. Then you can start describing the patterns. Then you can start predicting the patterns. And then you can make those shorter videos that say, here's where it all went wrong. Here's how to have a proper debate. I mean, you can become an educator in that style, edutainment, as they say. I see that.
Edutainment,
yeah. If you're passionate about it and you keep going, I think you will. I think it'll be tremendously popular.
No, I need to get, but also just need to get, it's not even that about, I suppose that is living the dream thing is like, we want to make a living off these things, but that would be the dream. But just the stimulation of it, I need to get back into that because it feels like it's missing in my life where like I will sit, sure, I will put the time in for these streams, but there's so much more and so much more thinking that I used to do and that I was way more into. I was even more of a nerd when I was in college and things. and I find myself way more ditzy than I was before. And so all of this reading that needs to actually occur as well. I'm feeling very positive and that I want to go back into the reading the source material. And you're making it accessible. I really appreciate your work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'll throw out something to you, an idea that I've thrown out to others. So I interviewed a guy Friday for a show that's coming up this week. It's the next episode of Dreamscapes, which was last week. So it's anyway, I always record these in advance. Well, he was he's like basically a Norse pagan, kind of in the shaman realm, or a Vitki, I think is what he called himself, kind of, or that was what he would call a wizard in the Norse. Anyway, he's more of a specialist in the Norse mythology, as I would say it, not disrespectfully. That's his religion. I offered him the opportunity. I said, you know what? a little bit of backstory. This is what my brain does too. I'm publishing all the books on dreams. That is my augury, bibliomancy, and chaos series, the ABCs of dream interpretation. And I've got maybe another 6 titles to go. I've got at least 6 more planned after the 17th one. So I'll have like 23 and maybe I'll find more before then. Okay. When all that's done, that's my primary focus. And it's going to take years. It looks like I'm releasing 2 books a year. So we're looking 3 or 4 years down the road, possibly. My next series, I want it to be called A Wizard's Guide to whatever. And the first one I'm starting with is A Wizard's Guide to Aesop's Fables. That'll be my first work. Okay.
I need to talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I've got I want to do a Wizard's Guide to Greek mythology, because that's the one I'm a Wizard's Guide to King Arthur and the Holy Grail and that mythology around that. Yeah, and it's all in service of this idea of common cultural experience and understanding, but also bringing people, like with the Aesop's book, the psychology of Aesop's. What do these mean based on what we know today? Why is this true? Why was this always good advice for the last literally like 2,500 years? Human nature hasn't changed in at least that long. Sour grapes is still sour grapes. Slow and steady still wins the race, that kind of thing. Or it can, at least, the consistency or the practical benefit of consistent effort rather than short bursts and losing interest. It's like,
it's not new. It's the same. I was reading The Slight Edge, where it was the book where you literally just explained that, but this guy published that book in 2010 or something like that. It's the same. People are just putting these ideas into different that you just need to hear. Some people just need to hear the idea in the way that makes the most sense to them, and then that's why Jordan Peterson has resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Previously.
Yeah, that guy put a lot of thought into these things and distilled them into some very easy to understand basic concepts. And I think that's what we're trying to do in becoming experts with something. Is first I'm confused but fascinated. Then I'm developing an understanding. Then I'm refining the understanding in my own mind. And finally, I get to a point where I can tell someone something in the most concise way possible that gets the point across, makes a complicated theory easier to understand.
That's what's so exciting.
It's genius. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And then depending on the message, people like you or don't, based on their politics, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's but the act of doing the thinking and getting all of that down is the real it's the real work.
Yeah. Okay. So all of that.
All of that, yes.
Well, all of that to say, I offered. Okay, now we're finally caught up to where I went back on the tangent. I offered that guy. I said, you know what? You are much more of an expert on Norse mythology than I am. Would you like to write a Wizard's Guide to the Norse gods or Norse paganism? And then I'll publish it as a part of my series. I'll be the editor, that kind of thing. So all of this to get up to throwing to you. You could be the author of a Wizard's Guide to having a debate. The title optional,
okay.
But
I wouldn't be that person, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Maybe, or all the ways, debate disasters. A Wizard's Guide to debate disasters. How all the ways debates go wrong. Because again, this is one of those things where I don't expect you to commit to that on stream. This is not to put you in a corner, or even believe that you can do it, because this is a goal to be worked towards in a way. I believe you will be capable of that someday if you continue on this path. And when you do, it's not a book I'm going to write. Might as well throw it out to someone else, put it under the same series. Yeah. I kind of like the title, A Wizard's Guide to Debate Disasters. That's kind of fun. Yeah, I like alliterations, and people are like, oh, disasters.
I can tell you how a debate can go disastrous.
Yeah. And it is literally doing the work. You're having fun with an audience as you diagram these things, and and you're building that expertise.
I need to build the expertise. That's the thing. I'm having fun with the audience, definitely, but I'm definitely not going in depth as much as I really want to. There's so much there, but I have I will not let go of my streams. That's the thing. I just need to put in the work, the other work, and then that will.
Yeah.
But what I do want to talk about, because we're talking about talking. What is all of the stuff that you've gone through? What is hair on the tongue specifically? Because it's I'm plucking this hair because out of my tongue.
Yeah. And let's kind of get into the dream thing here. We got 59. Was it 59?
Yeah,
down the time. No, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. This is and that's why I leave it freewheeling. I mean, I've talked to people for 15, 20 minutes, and we jump into the dream because they're short on time. We got all time in the world, and we're having fun. It can go an hour. It's gone longer. I made one episode, 3.5 hours. Very, very unusual length of time, not typical, not going to keep you that long, I don't think. It goes as long as the dreamer has questions. I'm in for the marathon. So if they want to, one and done, get it quick, compact, I can do that. Okay, so you've mentioned that you've been having these dreams more lately in the last few months? Kind of a recurring series? Or they've come back in the past few months?
Compared to the other kinds of dreams I was talking about. So it has been actually the past year. It's been longer than that. Okay. I have a regular dream about that sort of thing. I wouldn't say like this yet. But I mean, the way that they just occur, it's an unsolved thing.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
For sure.
It's something that is, I have thought that it has something to do with being online. Maybe because because it has a lot to do with talking, and I have this thing of like being torn between wanting to create content just full time and just focus on that, but then also having a day job. But I don't want to fit that. I don't want to shove that interpretation into the dream. But the big mighty struggle that's within me now is that. But then the hair things does seem to be about speaking and saying things, and one of the interpretations was it's like people are lying, and then I'm like, what am I lying about?
Yeah, that's where the dream books go wrong. It's like they're right about the mouth and the relationship to speaking, but why throw in people are lying? Where does that come from? Yeah. Why is that even relevant to you?
There's a saying, there's hair on her tongue or something like that. Like something like that. But it's because there's a saying somewhere. But if that's a saying you grew up with, that would make sense for you to possibly have that understanding in your mind. But so two things real quick is there is no set answer, but you can trust your gut in a way. And I think if you have the intuitive sense that it has something to do with speaking and possibly related to being online, I think those are good directions to explore. We're not gonna put anything on it. Yeah, that's how my process goes. Is like, that's great. You're feeling something. Your intuitions when it comes to this are usually. What do I say about it? So, okay, speaking of Sitch and Adam, I think some of the folks that listen to them, and maybe even Sitch and Adam themselves, they're a little too dogmatic on the moral intuition thing. I mean, I think they've accepted that as the explanation for a lot of stuff, when I'm like, there's truth to it, and it is a relevant factor to analyze. I don't think it is the end all and be all. We are not all driven by our elephant and incapable of writing it with our reason or self-examination. And, so we're not locked into those things. The way I understand intuition is, go ahead. Be able to change how your intuition mechanism works.
Yeah.
Because people are capable of that sort of change, and it does happen. So yeah.
Yep. And it may be difficult, and there may be a broad swath of people that they just are their elephant. It just runs wild and they never question it. And maybe that's the whole NPC that can't imagine the image of an apple. Who knows? There may be certain people more or less capable of that, but I think it's not a fait accompli. It's not you're not doomed to be driven by your elephant, and the writer's just, I wish I could control this at all. It's complicated, but what I say about intuition and my critique of it is that I think of intuition as a sign or a signal or a beacon. So if you, like a lighthouse, this was the analogy that came to my mind the other day. Your intuition is seeing the lighthouse. Like, there is a coastline there. It can't tell you whether you want to go ashore. It can't tell you where the best place to park your boat is. It can't tell you where the dock is. All it can tell you is, broadly speaking, look over here. There's something here. It's so, yeah, your intuition is like an indicator that there is something there, that there is some meaning. It can't tell you what that meaning is specifically. That's how I understand intuition. And that's where I go with my intuition, is like, I follow things that seem likely. I pull at threads, so to speak, in the dream interpretation thing that feel relevant to me. But what I'm going to find, what it's going to unravel, I have no idea. And I'm not asserting a specific answer. If I give you 3 possibilities and you pick number 2, then that's the right one. What do I know? I just gave you opportunities and you made the decision. So long story short on that, if you have a feeling that it is related to speaking and it is specifically also connected to being online, that makes a tremendous amount of sense. This is your lived experience, is being online recently and speaking. And so it's going to have something to do with this dream, most likely.
Just having a lot of focus on what I'm saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what else would you think? What else comes to mind when it comes to this hair thing?
Well, so we're getting into,
because I've had this hair dream before the YouTube channel and things like that. But I would say that there were more as that's come around.
Yeah. When is the first time you can remember having it? Like the first instance, how many years ago? What time of your life? How old were you? That kind of thing.
I don't remember having it during school. So, I'm 32. So
you are
it's
not.
A while ago. Yeah. So I don't remember it. So it would be within the last 10 years, actually. I don't think I even had it in varsity. So, about 10 years. So I would have had it sometimes before there. But so let's mark it. We say, no, not during school.
You say it started after graduation from college?
Yeah, definitely.
You were looking for.
It might have been as I moved out of. I'm not sure, but it might have been when I moved out of my parents' home, which was in 2019.
Okay.
Might have been. Yeah. But this, it's such a visceral dream. As I keep thinking about it, I just keep thinking about how there's always just this thing in it. And I also, I know you're also are you a pimple popper enthusiast?
Absolutely.
Sort of
I am not squeamish.
Okay. So, well, it's basically, I also have this thing of just like, I have to pull this hair out. I do have, I actually do have, like, psychologically, I do have the tendency to pull my eyebrow hair out and things like that. So I
believe they call it trichotillomania.
Yeah, that thing. I have that. I have that just as part of like a soothing gesture thing that I do. But so I think that could be another relation, like hair and pulling.
Yeah, could be related.
The most natural thing about this is not about talking with hair in my mouth. Nothing like that. So you see, it's not about talking and going, oh no, I've got hair in my mouth. It's more like actually hair, and I have to pull it out. And there is the satisfaction of pulling the hair out.
Okay.
So there is a click kind of thing of pulling this hair out.
Okay, and you do succeed.
Every time, yeah, I do succeed.
Okay.
Sometimes it's really pulling hard, and I can't get it out. But it's not about having a hairy tongue. So that's also it's literally the focus of this dream is very much so this action of pulling and having that like jerk of taking it out, and then there's more, and it's usually and it's also I need to make sure I get this out before people see me pulling this out. So
okay.
It's quite a strange thing that I don't know if it does involve the trichotilla
chicka bow wow.
If that is related in some way. I never thought of it that way.
Very well could be. It's something to absolutely keep the field open for that and consider it. So we just in terms of my process, my specialty, my best chance of success is to analyze a specific dream. So getting into a broad swath of recurrent dreams without a specific dream to analyze can be a little difficult. So any of those instances you remember or that you're citing to me, if we went with just the most recent description, you have some vague impression that there was one instance where you were pulling it out and you needed to get it out before other people saw you. Do you, Do you have any imagery associated with that we could start with and try and kind of look at it? And even if it's vague, it's okay, but we'll see if we can tease out a little more as we go.
Well, I think it might have even been the imagery of the person I was trying to keep it. I knew the person I was trying to keep it from, and it might have been my husband.
Okay. So can you tell me if you tried to put it into a narrative, and it can be literally 10 seconds long? What do you think?
I don't know if I'm putting it retroactively in the bathroom. Don't know if I'm putting it in the. Oh, geez, I know I'm not helping, but I'm trying to think.
You can't do this wrong. Just do your best. Yeah.
Yeah, just instinctively, I think of being in the bathroom. When you ask me that question.
Okay.
And I think actually, which is very strange, because then there is still this feeling that it's not just my husband, it's public. Sometimes it's public. Sometimes it's like somebody will. So it's always a momentary sort of. It's a very small, short narrative of I'm some place. Okay, well done, Chintzia. It's some place, and it's. And the focus of the whole dream mostly is the pulling out of the hair and the and the fact of just getting it out. Sometimes it is just a group of people that I don't want them to see me, like if it's like having something stuck in your teeth. You don't want to see that. So that's the kind of feeling. But then I'm pretty sure I've had an instance of like I was in the bathroom and I don't want my husband to see. But that might be okay. Another thing of I just have that where it's like, if I am just in the bathroom, literally waxing, I have that is literally, I'm like, my husband doesn't need to see that. Okay. So I have that, like I'll literally, so that might be just the context that I'm putting on top of this dream.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I really just need to speak to you closer to the time that I have one of them.
Sure.
I do have another dream that we can do. Because I just remembered from last night.
From last night, literally?
A completely different dream.
I would. Yeah, let's do that.
Are you okay?
What's that?
With that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, wait, one more thing.
Go ahead.
While we're on the general bit.
Yeah.
Just
well, let's wrap that up first. Yeah, and then we'll get on to the other one. We can even take a break, too. I might need to let the dog out to go pee.
Yeah. You can do that now if you want.
Oh, no. We got a minute. But okay. Let's wrap this up and then we'll jump into the next one. Yeah.
With the teeth, right? A lot of the time with my teeth, same sort of narrative of there's nothing really it's not like there's a story around it. It's mundane stuff. But then what I remember is pushing my teeth out of my mouth. Like when you, I don't know, I think I just have this memory of when I was losing my teeth, when I was younger, you like use your tongue against your tooth.
Yeah, wiggle
it pushes out. You're done.
Yeah.
So yeah, eventually that happens. I either just land up just pushing it out with my tongue and then spitting it. A lot of the time, and then I'm panicking. Chintzia, you've lost your teeth. You don't. Oh my God, I don't have teeth. And then I have another tooth there, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Go.
And then it pops right back up.
And then I continue. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's an interesting thing that happens. I've had other teeth dreams where I've been very scrambling to keep them. So that they've come out, and it's very much, oh, Chintzia, you've lost your teeth. You need to keep them so you can put them back in. And I would also be trying to also hide from people that I have lost my teeth.
Yeah.
That is a big.
We have a bit of a connecting idea of public embarrassment, perhaps.
Embarrassments, yeah.
Yeah. The idea of I need to hide that my teeth have gone missing, or I need to get this hair out before anyone notices. There's definitely not wanting to be seen in a compromised position of some kind.
Exactly, and there's kind of this weird thing of there is also, so if I'm relating the two with the teeth thing, that that I have that recognition of you lost your teeth, but then oh wait, there's more. I have a kind of like, wait, that's not normal. Teeth don't just grow back. but okay, I'm okay with that. I have that moment of like that
in the dream.
Yeah, in the dream.
Okay.
And with the hair thing, there is also the thought of other people don't have this. Other people don't have the hair. So it does differ from the teeth in that there's definitely a consideration that other people don't have this hair. Other people don't have this hair.
Interesting. Yeah, that's another layer.
So yeah, very. I don't know. I need to have a story, because the story, clearly, if I remember the story around it, I'm sure it will help us.
Yeah, that usually gives us what my process tends to be is you start with a story. Here's what I remember. It's a short minute, 2 minutes, 5. One dream went on for 10 minutes. I tell the story. That's fine, and I'll write it all down. Then we go back through it again. We do what I call a deep dive, and we start going, okay, where did you appear? The first thing you remember in the dream. You were in a room. Tell me what's in the room. And we start looking at that. So like the last week's episode, if anyone wants that, by the time this goes up, he appeared in an apothecary type shaman's magical work, alchemical workshop type of place. And this is actually based on a real life friend who was or is a shaman under this mythology, respectfully. And does healing work and carves totems and makes charms and different things. So we start there and it's like, okay, now what was your experience in that environment? We go through each element kind of chronologically and try and tease out. And then when I start asking about those things, they go, oh, and I remember this extra detail. And I just thought of this other thing. And that's when the idea starts. So without a story to work with, it becomes, we can talk very vaguely about stuff, and I'm happy to do it.
You've already helped me have a bit more of a grasp of what I'm even thinking about, what I'm talking about when I talk about these kinds of dreams. But I don't want to waste you on them. Now you've told me that, and I can call you up when I have our story, because who knows what even happens, what my brain does with it now, because literally just having spoken to you about it, I don't know, because now my brain knows that I'm curious about certain kinds of I've got more questions that I maybe wasn't conscious of before. So we've played with those 2 knots, and I'm very satisfied.
Well, good. Yeah. I think I've given you everything I can for now without more concrete material to work with, and that's perfectly fine. I don't consider it time wasted. So.
No, I don't either. I thought, and seeing as I do have a dream that I do remember,
it suddenly came back to you.
Yeah. That we can just go through it and see what happens. It's very weird and funny, and actually people will think I'm just making it up, because it kind of I can see why it happened the way it did.
Okay. So, well, is it okay to how much time do you have left? Do you have another hour or?
Yeah, I've got another hour.
Okay, good. I don't want to shortchange you at all. I got plenty of time. I got another 2 hours if we needed it, but I also don't want to shortchange you, and I don't want to keep you longer than you're comfortable, that kind of thing. But if it's okay to just take a 10, I'm going to leave the recording going, and I'll just cut this out. Benjamin the Dream Wizard wants to help you pierce the veil of night and shine the light of understanding upon the mystery of dreams. Every episode of his Dreamscapes program features real dreamers gifted with rare insight into their nocturnal visions. New Dreamscapes episodes appear every week on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and other video hosting platforms, as well as free audiobooks highlighting the psychological principles which inform our dream experience, and much, much more. To join the wizard as a guest, reach out across more than a dozen social media platforms and through the contact page at benjaminthedreamwizard.com, where you will also find the wizard's growing catalog of historical dream literature available on Amazon, featuring the wisdom and wonder of exploration into the world of dreams over the past 2,000 years. That's Benjamin the Dream Wizard on YouTube and at benjaminthedreamwizard.com. Okay, now we got 127. Damn near perfectly 10 minutes.
Boom.
Bam. Okay, so we have a more recent dream, and let me tell you this, it is becoming a more consistent trend, not usually, but it's becoming a pattern, a typical occurrence, that the night before someone talks to me, they have a dream that they're like, I just had a dream and I need to know what this one means. You want now? No, he's going to be difficult. Go do your thing. Okay. Maybe he just wants to lay down. He was laying in the sunshine, so he's probably overheated laying in my lap now. Okay. As per my usual process, I'm just going to shut up and listen. You tell me a narrative and we'll do what we can with it. So I'm ready when you are.
Okay. So this will be, I'm thinking, another category of dream for you, which it's a mix of mundane and good luck with this. Okay?
The crazier the better.
So what happened was we did this is the first time I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons. Yesterday, because remember I rescheduled. One of the things of rescheduling was for Dungeons and Dragons on Monday, right? So we did that one, and we had created characters, but my character doesn't have a backstory yet, really. Like, I want her to have one, but it won't be that complex, or whatever. But basically, we finished creating the base character. And then I said to my friend as I went to bed, I was like, I hope I have an interesting dream to find the backstory for my And so that was on my mind when I went to bed. So that's why I say this mundane stuff, because it's like that was on my mind when I went to bed. And of course, speaking to you was on my mind, because I was like, okay, well, because I knew that what I was going to bring to you was vague. So it was I was like, I don't know what we can do with it. And I was figuring out how can we get the most out of it? So that was on my mind as well. So those two things. Yeah. So clearly I wanted to remember a dream.
Proof that we kind of can program our dreams in some ways. If something's on our mind and we want to know, we might actually have a dream about it. Yeah.
I often do go when I do try and fall asleep. I'm like, it's kind of like ask my brain something and just like kind of just hope that it answers through a dream.
No, for real. I think that's a very real thing. I tell people to sleep on it. And now usually that is metaphorical for give it some time to allow yourself to come up with an answer. You don't have to have an answer right away. And that's all part of it, but also literally sleep on it. Go to bed with that idea in your mind. And whether you remember a dream or not, and this has happened to me, I do not remember my dreams. I just, the handful of my entire life. But I'll wake up.
So
yeah. I'm kind of, that's probably part of the root of my fascination. Yeah, exactly. But very often I will wake up the next day with an answer to something that was puzzling me. Don't know where it came from. It just happened I must have had a dream. I allowed it to work its way out. That's exactly what I think happened. So, yeah.
It happens with creativity as well. I say to the creatives that I deal with as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't worry, the campaign, because we have to come up with campaigns. But it's like, don't worry if it's not there. Just let it sit for a while. Your brain is doing stuff with it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Your brain is still going to do stuff with your ideas.
I like the phrasing, let it percolate, like making a cup of coffee or a pot of coffee. It takes as long as it takes for the water to filter down to percolate. And it's coffee when it's coffee. When it's done, it will be what it is. You can't rush it. You can't rush nature, that kind of thing. Can't make a baby be born in less than 9 months. And if we could, we probably shouldn't. It's a bad idea, that kind of thing. Don't want to take it out of the oven early.
Exactly.
So you had a dream specifically about your character's backstory? That's kind of the idea?
That was the underlying. So that's what I'm saying, this is an interesting category, because let's see if we can find non-mundane meaning. Because, okay, so there's that. She wants to remember the dream, and she wants to also get a backstory for her. Because I've had some really amazing dreams. So I know that I was excited to actually go and sleep and see what happened. I'm very excited.
Very cool.
Yeah. So what this is, let's go to the actual story. Okay. Oh, and also other context. I was talking to people, the people that were playing Dungeons and Dragons with us. I was talking to them about kink. I was talking, because remember we did a think on kink. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was talking to Andrew afterwards, because we're going to, at some point, we're going to actually go and diagram our debate about whether BDSM is inherently sexual and things like that. That whole discussion.
That's a whole fascinating thing to do. You have a debate and then you bring the participants back to diagram it. Yeah. That's That's a whole other layer of Aspie ASMR. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
So that's coming next month.
Woohoo.
But we're going to do that. So that was what we were just talking about also before I went to bed. And the reason that this is relevant is one of the ways that I've tried to look at this, and what I've been encouraged to do is look at like, people would think that my obsession with pimple popping is a sexual thing. So it's not. It's when I say obsession, literally I watch YouTube.
Yeah. I don't believe I have ever experienced a tingle in the crotch or an erection watching pimple popping videos. I would say they are not sexual to me, even if they might be to somebody else.
Yeah, I understand that they could be to somebody else. So I was like, wait a second, that makes sense then. If BDSM is that way to some people, that it's like it really has nothing to do with. Because for me, I vehemently, whatever, I cannot think of pimple popping in that way. That's gross. It's like I would show my mom the same video. That's how not sexual it is.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that's where that pimple popping thing comes from. And it is a joke. It's like, haha, the audience now makes fun of me that I'm now a kinky pimple popper and whatever, and that's the joke. So that joke was in my head as well, because we had just went to sleep. And now, here's the story. So there's like some sort of, and you know what's quite interesting is the setting was kind of like, might have been school, because it might have been started off at school, because I was thinking of talking to you about school and the school dreams. It might have started off there, but it's not the exact school. So it wasn't one of those dreams of where my whole life is put into. So it was like the kind of structure of school. And there is now war. There is just actual, not even war. Okay, so the first word I wrote down was war, but actually it was like there was shooting. It was like shooting going on. There was lots of bullets and things. And I was in a group of people. Very chaotic, I know, but I'm just going to go with it. Okay. And we're running away, and there's shooting, whatever. We're trying to hide. At some point where I was trying to hide, and people were hiding. I think it does relate to the Sound of Freedom, because that's also been on my mind. So I think it was something to do with that. And then but yeah, so basically we got taken, me and people got taken prisoner by these violent shooty people. And and then we're basically prisoner, but in like a log cabin village. Okay. And we're prisoner there. And so it's not like we're chained up or anything. We're just, the thing is we're being held there. And now that's our lives. And we have these people that are like our overlords, whatever. And the one that is the leader, or the one that's taken over basically my area, it's a she, and she's a very large woman, and she has pustules basically everywhere. And she's very mean, very unhappy, and everybody just stays away from her because she's got so much, she's got these pimples and things, and nobody had really ever looked at her and found her attractive or just ever cared about her. They thought she was so ugly, and this was now the narrative in my head as well. And basically what I was doing in this dream was telling her, no, these things are not normal. You've got to lance them, you've got to clean them, you've got to take care of them. Basically there's a kind of cyst that basically that I was referring to, that she had, and she had it all over her body basically. She had big ones, and nobody was really taking care of her. This So it became this story. So there was this meta in my head that this is now the story of I'm taking care of her and making her feel seen and caring about her really, truly, but also knowing that she would then hopefully set me free. So I basically get into a relationship with this woman. And I clean her up, and she just knows that she's been seen now, and she knows that I could just be being nice to her to be free, but she does. I can't say for sure how it ended, but the point is she sets me free. That is it. So good luck with that. As we go through it.
That is fantastic.
Yes, so interesting.
Okay, we got the timestamps. Wonderful. And we got cats on our notes.
All right.
Baby girl.
Hi, baby.
Hi, baby girl. You're going to have to move. You're going to have to move.
No.
I love you. And here's the thing. It doesn't hurt them, but they move. Compressed air. And actually just reaching for it, she knows. She's looking at it. She's looking at it. A little compressed air can here. There you go. You know what to do. Just off the notes. Okay. Just be cute over here. That's perfectly fine.
Oh, Get it?
Even better than a squirt bottle. And then she's not wet. No, you got to go. You got to go.
Daisy,
I know. Go.
Daisy doesn't care with the
compressed air. That doesn't work for Daisy.
I don't. She would get too. Oh, she would get too much. She would not get over.
Yeah, maybe some cats have a different reaction to it in terms of like maybe they hate you or go pee on your clothes or something, or who knows. Keep going.
No, she seems like she'll be pissed off but move on with her life. Daisy on the other hand, very.
Does Daisy look like you? Look at you like the fuck you just do, bitch.
She's like, excuse me.
That's hilarious. So
the next 3 hours doesn't speak to me.
So in terms of explaining the circumstances, I'm serious when I say the dreamer cannot do this wrong. You don't have to apologize like this is all hazy and doesn't make any sense and it doesn't perfectly fine. We're going to make sense of it together. If it made sense to you, you would tell me what it means and we would call it the end of the episode. Excuse me. So I always say the dreamer, you cannot do this wrong. Pressure's all on me to make it entertaining, keep the conversation rolling, give you something useful out of it. And I think we can. This is all really fantastic material.
Okay.
So, that is the narrative. Now we, phase 2, deep dive. We go back through it again. So you're in a setting that feels like a school, but it's not a school. What can you say about the environment? What is it that gives you the impression? Is it a knowing or is it there's environmental cues? There
is the environmental cues. There were some children, like young boys.
Okay.
That I can definitely say young boys. It wasn't young girls or anything. So there were children. Especially there were like when there was hiding going on, we were under some I remember looking under to go to look for a place to hide from the shooting, and I remember seeing all of these young boys lying underneath there and going, man, that's not a very good hide. Like, I can see you. So, like, as much as I'm looking to hide there, I remember having that thought. So it's a young boys thing, but also there is just this knowing. But it does change. I feel like the initial setting was like school, normal, but rural school, not like a not like a 2-story sort of building school thing, just literally like a rural, long buildings of school. But I feel like it does change after the shooting thing happened because we ran. So I would say that school bit goes away after.
When you say it goes away afterwards, the feeling that it actually was a school dissipates,
yes.
and
we're away. Yeah, and we're away. Yeah. So it says I feel like there might have just been something I didn't remember. That is the running from where this thing starts. It does feel like there's separate locations in the running away from the shooting where we separate from it being a school to a camp, a war camp.
Okay. So very often scene changes, sometimes with or without transition. Sometimes it's hard cut. And now I'm somewhere else. Fair enough.
Yeah.
They can just fade to black and I'm somewhere else. Yeah. So very interesting. So we've got this, we've got some iconic imagery in terms of the idea of a school and that there are children present. There are specifically young boys. There's a threat, an external threat. It's shooting specifically, and it's outside. You do a very natural thing, which is I better hide from danger. I better get away from danger, put myself in a position of safety. And where you think to hide, you look and there's already young boys there, and you realize it's not an effective hiding place, that they are so, and that they got there before you. So,
they were there before me.
And specifically, you're like, you're not effectively hiding. You can be, I can see you. So you can be seen. If hiding is the point, it's failing. Yeah.
But yet I'm still, the reason that I'm seeing them is because I'm looking to hide. And I just had that thing of that realization of, they can see us here. Oh, okay. And I actually think, now that I'm talking about it, I think that's when when it came to hiding, then it was like, you know what, because others were there and they were not effectively hiding, it was like a surrender. I think it was like, oh, I'm caught now. I had this kind of like, okay, I'm caught. But that's it. So, yes, now I'm remembering it. It was kind of like, I can see you. What are you doing? Oh, there's nowhere to run anymore. We're caught. And I don't know what this whole war was about. So
do you have any distinct impression of attempting to run or just kind of surrender? And that feels now more likely as to how you got.
It was running before that surrender sort of thing. And it wasn't like, oh no, fall to the ground kind of thing. It was just, okay, the next memory I have is now I'm a prisoner and I live in this camp. And there is this matron woman that immediately was like part of the, I actually do, now that I'm talking about it.
Every time.
Very cool. Yeah. What is very cool is I have the feeling, that the knowledge, okay, of this one change room area of this building. I've been there before
in the camp.
A different dream. Yeah, in the camp.
Okay.
And I've been there before in a different dream. A different setting, but it was a woman's changing room. I'm just letting you know as I'm wondering what this.
That is great.
Because I have such sure knowledge that I can give you a kind of impression of what that dream was about. There's women's bathrooms. Is this a spa or not a spa? Like a whole completely different narrative.
Yeah.
I know it was overlaid because I think it's the same sort of thing as the women's barracks, women's bathrooms, women's camp, so the woman area.
Mm-hmm.
So it went from the boys or whatever being trapped, and then, okay, cool, now I'm a prisoner, and this is where we're all housed, females.
Gotcha.
So it's very much change is quite. Sorry, I just had a cat.
More kitty visitors.
Very much.
Yeah, no, that's great. Never hesitate to add details. You didn't lie to me. You didn't remember it. So you just add it in when it comes to your mind. Also, interrupt me anytime when I'm rambling and saying, oh, I had my own thought that has nothing to do with what you're talking about, because that's what's important. I ramble until you have ideas, or I ramble to inspire ideas. My rambling is not the point, So anyway, never apologize for that kind of stuff. And all you folks out there that want to do dream interpretations with me, this is how easy it is. We just talk, and you're never wrong, So don't worry about that. This is absolutely a collaboration. I couldn't do these as a debate. Like, I'm going to tell you what's in your head. That's what a tangent, but that's one of my critiques with maybe say the Freudian style. it was very much in the head of doctors at the time. We are the authorities, and we will tell you what's going on with you because we're the doctor and you will listen. And that's changed. Now it's like a collaboration more. So not every dream is sexual. Some are. Some have sexual content. So, some of it, and where I think Freud got it wrong, is that he was trying to describe what's the basic life drive. What is the essence of the vital essence of life itself that drives everything? Why do we keep living? Why do we reproduce and procreate? Well, why do we do these things? Why do we, apart?
Why do we want to partner? Why do we? Yeah.
So the theories have evolved since that time. Even though Freud is a towering giant who set the stage and broke things wide open to take dreams seriously, to take talking therapy seriously. I'm not specifically a Freudian analyst. I'm not specifically a Jungian analyst, but I bring both of their valid contributions to what I do, and the invalid contributions, not so much. Sometimes it is that we need to talk about your mother. Sometimes it's not. So, okay. So, just to get, and again, this is why I do this. I kind of recap and feedback a narrative too. So you're in a kind of school setting. So maybe it calls back school days in that sense of like here, at school can be, it can just be the general concept of education. I'm learning something new, or this is an environment where learning happens, those kind of things, or it's more specific to my school experience. And so you've got that kind of thing, and you're in an educational setting, say, that is under threat, and the people inside. So there's almost a suggestion of an attempt to deny learning in a way, like an external threat that's what am I trying to say? An external threat that is imposing the force of denying your ability to understand something. There's kind of a feeling to that in that sense. I don't know what it is about the boys. Like you don't mention, or you didn't see any girls, specifically a group of young boys, and the fact that they had the same idea as you to hide. So makes sense. Oh no, threat. Get away from the threat by, run, fight, hide. Those are, or run, fight, hide. Hide sometimes is the best way to go. In a way, you're kind of following their example. They beat you to it. They were ahead of you. They tried something that you thought of, and you're looking at them going, that's not the answer. What they're doing isn't an effective resolution to whatever this problem is you're considering. So some of this has a masculine feminine feel too. Like you might be looking at the young boys, what is typical for a young boy to do is not the answer that I'm looking for how to deal with this situation. And so your answer then becomes, well, I'm going to get away. I'm going to go to the run side of run, fight, hide. And it becomes obvious to you that the problem cannot be avoided. It's going to catch you. You're going to be caught by it. You're going to have to deal with this in some way. You may have very well, and I like to do this speculative alternative history type of thing. You very well could have had the dream resolve with you running away and that being the answer, and you very effectively evading having to deal with the problem. Sometimes you just get away from a problem. If it's another person, you stop hanging out with them. That guy's a jerk. Fuck that guy. Leaving, problem solved. That's exactly how it goes.
And I do feel like it very much so like the shooters were female. I feel like that they were female. That there is very much a binary going on here because I can't say that underneath this sort of, it's like, it's weird. It's like there's a top, but also see-through sort of fabric and like metal poles and chain link fences, and that was what the boys were hiding under. And it wasn't like in my head in that dream I was going boys. It's just that I am now outside going, there were no girls there, and I can tell you that there weren't.
Yeah.
And there were girls running with me in the beginning. It was us running around at school, sort of at school.
Okay.
It really was very much is just. It's an African rural school. That is very much what was happening. And then, but then we're running, and then the other girls disappear, and like they're just not relevant or whatever. And then there is very much so that the ones that were under that thing were men.
Yeah. And the way you've conceptualized or shown yourself that object is it's flimsy as a barrier. It is not a brick wall that will stop bullets. It's not going to protect them physically. Yeah. It's also not even proper concealment. They're going to be seen anyway through this flimsy material.
And they're lying down. So they're lying down. They're like this. They're lying down.
Yeah.
So another thing that was another reason as well that I noticed. Okay, they haven't just suddenly. There were maybe a few that came with me, like we got there at the same time. But then that's when I realized, this is just, they are actually, the enemy can see us still.
Yeah.
That's what was there. And that was the kind of resignation of, okay.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think there might have been something I don't remember, but the next part I remember, and just this distinct feeling of the arts, all of the ones with the guns and things like it, female.
Yeah,
strange.
Definitely. So there's and then the female camp matron specifically, and it being an all female camp. So there's and knowing you a little bit, and we would have brought this out in the conversation, but I can bring what I know about you. You have a bit of a tomboy vibe, and we joke about that. And okay, so Jung would say, we both contain both halves, the anima and the animus, male and female essence, and yin yang style, broadly, stereotypically, whatnot. There's, we have this way of understanding the world, whether you could say it's cultural construct, maybe just as valid because it's a dream and you bring what you understand to the dream. And if that's what you believe, that kind of thing. So there may be some element going on there of looking at things through masculine and feminine lenses. And specifically, there's some threat of the feminine. There's a feminine source of threat, which doesn't mean, I hate women. I mean, that's way overboard, but there's something. And so the way to tease that out is that, it isn't that you think of femininity itself as a threat, but that there's some problem that has a uniquely or stereotypically feminine tone to it that you're going to have to deal with from that assessment. And you're actually showing yourself in the beginning that using a young masculine, and maybe say masculine child, a male child, an undeveloped masculine approach is not going to solve whatever this uniquely feminine problem is. So I'm going somewhere with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because the problem that did happen there, it was I didn't fight this woman. I actually I got into a relationship with her. I made sure I was important to her.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I very distinctly was making in my mind, knowing that this is not me manipulating her. It was very much, it was like, I do care about you. And I remember having this thing of, there is such duality here that I care about you so much, but also you're keeping me against my will.
There's also an interesting layer to this as well, which is if we look at traditionally, typically yin yang, masculine, feminine approaches to problem solving, masculine would be, I'm going to confront, I'm going to fight, I'm going to overcome, I'm going to overpower. The feminine approach is, well, let's see if we can make friends. Because what better way to defeat an enemy but by making them your friend, and doing that by what is a traditionally feminine role of caretaking, in that sense of like, I'm going to help you solve your problem, and that's going to be a win-win for both of us. Once your problem is solved, that solves my problem as well. You let me go. I've been released by solving this problem through a particular approach, which this is where we look at it and I go, there is a difference between male and female, of course, biologically. There are distinct different approaches to the masculine and the feminine, and I don't think either one is superior. It's extremely context dependent. There's too many people who get into the idea of you can't believe men and women are different because that assumes you think men are superior. No. We have different ways of problem solving, and let's say there's someone you can only help by befriending them, and that helps solve your problem at the same time. it does not solve the problem to overwhelm by force. That makes everything worse. So there are masculine approaches that are simply unsuited to the circumstance. And a man, a 100% macho man, doesn't want to use that bad approach. They should lean into their feminine side and say, maybe I can make friends with my enemy, and that's a better resolution. That's my rant about the whole thing. Like it's too many people who assume it's misogynistic to think men and women are different and that we might have different problem solving approaches.
You really don't need to worry about that with me.
Yeah, no, I think I get that vibe with you that you're not that way. But just for the audience out there, it's like it really complicates the psychological process to have people bring, say, political assumptions to it. It's not what we're talking about in that it's completely divorced from that stuff. I would like to think it's just fact based. Like it's just how it is, just how it works. And it might be different for you. Maybe it is. Who knows?
What makes this even more relevant is, in my mind, clearly my brain has made an importance, given these two things, given these different elements, genders and sexes, on purpose. Why do I know that there's men there? Why do I know that it's boys? And why do I know that it's the girls' bathroom or the girls' barracks or the girls' this? Why do I know all of those things? Because it's important.
Yeah,
that's part of the narrative, and very much so. I do see the differences. One of the things that I had to go through as I grew up was kind of understanding that I'm not going to ever be as, I'm not going to be like a guy. I'm not going to have the emotional resilience of a guy that, not that's of a normal, I'm saying normal, like a guy that's not sensitive. I can't be that. As much as I want to be, I can't. I am an actual emotional person, and I'm just going to get over that. And I'm not going to be a I can't. I wanted the way that this happened was actually I realized that I can't go find it. I can't find it interesting to go to a strip. And that's what upset me, that I couldn't be like a guy. I couldn't be like a guy that I could just go and be like, whatever, sex, whatever. I couldn't do that. So that was one of the things. So I'm very much about gender roles in my mind. I do understand them and appreciate them. Like the you do know about the Wheel of Time, right?
Oh yeah, read the first 11 books like 5 or 6 times each, and then stopped, never finished. I got to go back and read like books 12, 13, 14. I got to actually finish the series at some point. But yeah.
I won't say anything about it. But you know that the male and female, the way that Robert Jordan writes the male and female.
Oh yeah. And how the men and the Aes Sedai both channel different halves of the true source. Yes.
and the way that they did the most things together was, like that whole thing. That is in my mind. So
yeah. And I love his analogy that men and women access the source differently. For women, you surrender, you let the flow in, and that allows you to direct it. And for men, it's more you got to grab it and wrestle that thing and force it to do what it needs to do. Yeah. Very, very stereotypically. And we're talking about a fantasy book with a guy who's made this shit up, but he's tapping into that same understanding of how different approaches to the world.
But he said, but there is still the true source that they both into. It's the same essence, it's the same thing, but they have the one power. It's still the one power, but they've got two halves of it, and that's amazing and beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And neither is superior. That's the thing. Yeah. So
when my brain throws up there's women as the big ones with the gun, it's not trying to say, the women are the threat and women are the worst and whatever. It's like, there's something here.
Yeah.
That is, and when you spoke about, when you brought that out, I'm thinking it might be just underlying work things that are coming to light of this. It's kind of just like, just basically I deal with women, and just because I'm not the typical woman. Sometimes it's difficult with them, but just being their friend helps. So that was was the thing. And I think then you can see the layers of mundane that just got thrown on top of this dream.
Absolutely, yeah.
because it was the context was, okay, well, you were talking about pimple popping. So now instead of this matron person just being a larger woman who's bigger than you, who can fight you, no, she's going to also have pustule things that you're interested in.
Yeah.
And you're going to be knowledgeable about it, and that's how we're going to make. Oh, I love.
That's a good way to understand it. That's exactly where I would go to. So you've actually represented with this person a problem that you might think other people couldn't solve because they have a stronger disgust response. So you're looking at a unique skill set you've got, the ability to not be disgusted by this and actually take action to correct it, whereas other people couldn't bring themselves to do such a thing. So you kind of narrowed it down. It's all very positive and hopeful, focused on your self-confidence type of thing of like, okay, this is a problem I can solve. How do I do that? And you do it in a caretaking way. And there's there was a lot of language you used without going back through it. And sometimes we start going back through it and then we start talking about it and we start putting things together. But the idea that she wants to be seen, but not in her condition. And she has never been seen as attractive. She's never had someone offer to caretake in that way, to care enough to caretake, to provide a solution. And there's a lot of is going into a lot of this seems to revolve around not appearance necessarily, but that's how it's being represented. But the idea of being seen, the perception of others in a way. And this is interesting too, because it relates to, say, the backstory of your character. You brought that up way in the beginning. I think that is connected to you've primed yourself in a way to maybe dream about the backstory of a character. And I think what that brought you to is how you present yourself, the mask or persona you wear in the professional space. You just brought that up with the idea of, okay, I work with a lot of women. And in a way, it might feel like you're trapped or imprisoned with these women. And, oh, well, that feels like a prison camp in a way.
It had to be a prison camp. That's why it's, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. And so in some ways, you're also kind of to put that layer or a little bit of a thread or a tone across the whole thing. Now, this is actually you've shifted from what's my character's backstory to what's my story? What is my character I play at work? How does that relate to who I really am? Because we do, as much as I try to be absolutely genuine and real, I am playing a bit of a character here. I have limited myself to the DreamWizard stuff. This is what I'm doing in this context. Just like if you put on the hat and the badge and you wear the gun, you got to limit yourself to the role of I am a police officer. If you put on the stethoscope and the white coat, I am a doctor. That's what I'm here to do. So we all wear masks and have personas. And a lot of people think of it as deceptive, or they get that misimpression in pop culture. But it's just choosing to embody a specific role, and that's where we think of professional ethics. There's things I will not do here and now with you that I might say off stream, or that if we were friends in real life, I might say and do, but that's not proper to this context. Long story short.
It makes sense. I don't believe it is just like, obviously there are deceptive people, but and people that have that malicious, when they play a role, they have malicious bits in it. But I don't believe people being able to embody different kinds of versions of themselves is a bad thing. It's have to do that. That's how we live. We have to code switch.
We put on they say we put on our game face when we go to work. Exactly.
It really is. So I mean, and I do remember, if I must, so the framing of it as I'm looking for the story, the character. I do remember as I was waking up, I was like, "Oh, this is a good story." I was like, this is a good story, and it'll be fine. This is what my character's backstory is going to be, that she was a prisoner of war, and then she convinced someone to let her. But the point is, I don't feel like the meaning of the dream, is that mundane. It's not that. I think it was. I love how it went. Okay, here's the framing where your brain is going, whatever, but also here's the real stuff that's going on with you. And this is how it actually, and you actually, the way you picked up those different things of the masculine and feminine and all of that, those things are my brain took the normal mundane stuff and just pushed through all of the meaningful things. Oh God, I love dreams. I really do.
You getting that kind of visceral sense that we're onto something?
Yeah, nice. I really do.
So I
feel like, yeah, well done with that one. But let's continue. Yeah.
So if we go back to the idea of an educational context, we may be able to say that you feel. Okay, so this is where it gets.
Very.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The educational setting was very fleeting, and there was kind of not a huge awareness of having the setting having changed. So it wasn't a kind of thing of me going the way I went. Like I remember thinking a certain thing about the boys underneath the tarp thing. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the kind of we're away from the school now kind of thing. So it wasn't a point of like, hey, Chinsia, this has changed. But I can tell you it did change. So it's a subtle change.
Yeah.
So the fact that it is there is meaningful.
Okay. But
it's very deep, I would say, that the education. Why am I so convinced that it was a school? Like, why did it start at a school? There is a reason. So what you're talking about here about. So are you getting at something is being, I guess, the women people, the war people, they are taking me away from this education. And I mean, it was also, the colors? It's also green. It was very green in the beginning, and then it became very yellow and dusty. So it did change. So I think it's just that it wasn't as what do you call it? Not as visceral, no. Because it is a very deep change, but it wasn't as clear or it was a subtle message, I think, this change from education to barrack.
Yeah.
Maybe it is got to do with, but maybe it does have to do with kind of going away from the, the cool learning about Dungeons and Dragons, just participating in creating content, having all of that rich online life that I love, and then being taken away and put into the barrack things there.
Yeah.
And I guess also the boyness is like I hang out with guys mostly online as well. Maybe that also has to do with it. So it does make sense now. This movement away from the education thing is so meaningful. It's just that it was not a clear cut. Shouldn't say look at that kind of thing. It's more you have made me notice.
Yeah,
and it resonates.
My theory on this is that what we experience as dreams is really our kind of raw, unfiltered chain of consciousness thought process. And what we think of as our thoughts when we're awake is actually that stream filtered through conscious attention. So we seem to have a different experience of it, but really we are actually thinking in images and concepts and related associations. And so dreams, I think, is really what it looks like to actually think in our brain. And then we translate it into words and coherent concepts to communicate with people. But, so what I'm looking at here is okay, fascinating thing. And I'm glad you brought it up. Green to kind of a yellow and more dusty environment. So green. Okay, here's a dream book thing. What's green? The color green associated with? Well, very often green is the healthy growth of a natural environment. We associate it with lush greenery in a beautiful summer pasture, or the growth of a plant versus the withering of a plant, or a dry, dusty, non-fertile environment. So you've actually been taken from a place where growth is possible to a place where growth is stagnant or dead. It's not, and it may relate to the education thing. So there's a couple of ways to go with that. And I know you mentioned earlier that you've had a conflict in your mind recently between, do I want to continue doing this day job, or do I want to focus on other things, and can I afford that? And you may be feeling a bit of a tug towards, I would like to learn more about the things I'm interested in. I'd like to spend more time dedicated to other projects, but I feel trapped, imprisoned by the need to have employment And so it feels a bit, and you're representing it in your mind, I think, as a bit of a prison camp. I'm trapped here. And you're thinking, how do I get out? What's my solution to this problem? I'll stop there and let you comment.
No, that is exactly it. The solution to the problem is not fighting and getting it out, like kind of, and that's actually
you never shot back. Yeah,
I never shot back. I wasn't looking for a gun because that's something conceivably that
you very well could have.
A hero story, that sort of thing. I've done it, I think, in dreams before, where I've found a weapon and I've like fought really hard and things like that. So it's not like it's inconceivable, but clearly this was very much, it works. So look, I didn't want to shoehorn in this idea of being torn between the two worlds, but it is honestly, it makes no sense that would not the center of anything I dream about at this stage, because it is my central struggle, or whatever you want to call it, my central angst. And the solution actually isn't to, first of all, it isn't to run away. It isn't to cut all of this off. It is to focus on it. That's the thing, guys. Focus on her. I had to focus on her. It was all about her. Things were yellow and gross, and all of that stuff was, all of the disgust and things were there. So all of that was there. So it's kind of a facing. I can't run away from it. I have to. But what I have understood from this is that I do have that need for that greenness, and the way to be freed is just a longer path. So it really has made a lot of sense. You made this dream, I thought, was a joke. Really, it makes it. It's not that you just put in the meanings there. For real, they were actually real.
Nice.
Real meaning.
Yeah, I think it's always there. Whether the question is whether I can help you find it.
You can help me. It's incredible.
And then there's even more. We can keep going, but
but keep going. I'm just
commenting on the process and how much you're enjoying it. I appreciate that. I really do. Okay, don't applaud. Just throw money. That's
locals. Yes. Yeah.
BenjaminTheDreamWizard.locals.com. So here's where we get into a bit of a sticky situation. We can go vague and nebulous, and we could focus on maybe the idea that it's possible this woman is actually you, that you are trapping yourself by your choices. So there's that layer. It's entirely possible. The other is that you actually may feel like you have a conflict of work relationship success, and maybe it's nobody's fault. You're just having trouble with this group of people, and that kind of matron that needs a little TLC to make herself more appealing. You could be conceiving that as, my work life could be more satisfying if I gave it some TLC. If I put some effort into it, maybe I wouldn't feel trapped anymore. It would set me free. Those are two entirely different potential paths, and they might both be true. They both just occurred to me, but one of them leans into the possibility that you can't actually talk about it because it's real people at a real job, and you start talking about them and your problems with them, or relationship dynamics, or whatever it is, that could cause problems for you. So I would almost say we don't get into that unless you're like really certain that that's exactly what it is.
That actual person, I don't think
not a specific person. Yeah,
but I think it does relate to work in that way, because it's got to do with the appearance thing and getting down and dirty, But and yes, there's those two interpretations are there, and I don't know which one, depending on which one I choose, would actually be the answer of what I should be doing, and what would make me feel. So I don't know what I would settle on. So there is the TLC for me versus TLC for my career self. That makes sense. Like literally putting in effort in there and getting the enjoyment out, because the point is I do enjoy, like the thing that I had, which was the power, or that other people didn't have, was that I could be involved with pushing pus out of her and things like that, and not be affected by it. Other people couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. There is those two interpretations. So there's the one of, hey, just go and really get the best out of the work thing. But then there is still that, like what you did speak about in the beginning. This is kind of like, I don't know if you said torn or it was just there is a conflict between, because I remember specifically having this conflict of, I care about her, but she needs to know, or she knows that I'm still trying to get free. So it's weird.
Yeah.
I still don't. I can't tell you who that, if it's me or like my career itself.
Yeah, maybe the more nebulous idea of your career or the work, the job itself as the prison guard in a way. It's embodied in that sense. And there's I think there's a theme. What does it feel like? It feels like you're confident in your own skill set. Like you could make your work environment a place you would enjoy being. You could make it more attractive even to you. You could form a better relationship with it and provide your unique skill set in a way that makes it more attractive even to you. There you go. Now it's beautiful. Now we've solved your pustule problem, and you feel confident that it's something you can do. Like
I think that's very strange for me, is to have that there was confidence in this, like this is what I'm going to do. There was very much like there was a feeling of confidence that this is how I can do it, and I'm going to do that. And it was very like, even if it was written with dialogue or whatever, the dialogue was clunky in that, because it was so clear, that, that's what I'm going to do, kind of thing that. So, yeah, it was like that.
Yeah.
I had confidence. Yeah.
And I think that's definitely good. You're not showing yourself abjectly failing and going, well, that's just the way it is. I'll always be a failure. This is definitely a matter of, if I choose to say commit to this and make it a place worth staying, I could also be happy there. There's an interesting dynamic to, what do you do? How do you make someone stuck in a prison cell not a prisoner? He just decides that's where he wants to be. And then there's a way to that. I mean, technically, are you still not allowed to leave? Yeah, but you don't want to anymore. So am I really trapped? I want to be here.
Exactly. And you know what? Like I said earlier, I can't tell you if I got out. I can't tell you that I was free, that there was this time that I can now tell you, yes, I went back to the green place, and none of that.
You left it unresolved.
Yes, that's where it ended.
Yeah, and I think
it. And there was this thing of, I know that that's what I can get, that she'll let me, that's the end of the story, that she sets me free.
Yeah.
But it's a relationship with her still. I still have a relationship.
She set you free, but you have no idea if you stayed. You might have been freed, and now you just choose to stick around because now it's not an unpleasant place anymore. Maybe that place turns green. You didn't show yourself because I think you haven't committed to a path in your waking life. You're still on the edge of a conflict. This looks like it was a dream exploring possibilities, thought experiment. If I approach this from a particular perspective, what do I think are my chances of success from that perspective? And you look at it and go, that could work. You're looking at it like that. That's actually a realistic possibility. What do I really want? I don't know. What's the outcome going to be? Who knows? But
looking at the choice of the way my brain put it together, right? So the funny thing is that it's the pimple popping person.
Mm-hmm.
She has pimples and stuff. Like, it's funny, but actually, just thinking about it, that is not the thing of it. That is not like my passion.
Right.
I can't tell, I'm passionate about it, whatever.
No, it's a stand-in iconic idea.
Yeah, and it does calm me down. It makes it's like an ASMR thing, in that it will calm me down, or it's satisfying. Yeah. So there is the satisfaction. So it's dirty and whatever, but the point is also you get, the reason that all of that stuff fascinates me is that we're taking out all there's dirt. The reason that I feel like the reason I look at those sort of things is because it is, look what was under there. Remember this, it's the same thing. Oh my God.
It's opening a Christmas present in a way and finding out it's just a pile of dog shit. Like, okay, I got satisfied by knowing the answer, and we're going to get rid of the nasty stuff.
and we get it out. Yes, we get it out. It's clean now. We're taking it out. But now just the way it relates to even seeing those boys under the thing, it's what's underneath.
Oh, yeah.
So there is that sort of thing, that theme of getting the pus out, seeing all of the ugly things underneath, and yes, it's gross, and because there was very much understanding that this is not that actually, like, even some of it I was like, oh, this is pus. Like, even at that point I was like, I wasn't, but then I was like, no, but you still like this sort of stuff. And so there was that sort of thing of like, no, but you look, you're getting the pus out. Kind of, I know that this is gross, but like that's I think that this choice of this pus thing is so important, because it's not like it's my huge passion in life, but it's fun, it's satisfying, and other people just didn't like doing it.
I think that's more what it's iconic of, is all the things that it represents, all the kind of ideas tied to it. The idea that it's something most people find so disgusting they could never do it. Well, you can tolerate it. Not only that, you find a particular satisfaction in removing the bad stuff, having the accomplishment, the outcome, the result is satisfying. And there's also a bit of enjoying the squeamish, like, oh, that's gross, but you're like, I can't look away. And I think that's like the same people like looking at a train wreck sometimes, or car accident, or watching a scary movie. Nobody wants to watch people being tortured, except we do. Why? For our own visceral, experience of it, and surviving the end of it and going, whoa, that was a thing. But I'm alive. I'm out of the theater. So it's all these different things wrapped up into it. So it wasn't actually about, I'm going to become a dermatologist. That's this. I don't think this is a dream revealing your secret passion for dermatology.
No, exactly. It makes so much sense. It's incredible how much that just that choice of that turned into something meaningful.
Yeah, and knowing that you have a choice, and that's what you do with this going forward, is now that we've kind of dialed in a little bit something, and there's always more, and we could do true, let's say if you're doing a Jungian dream analysis, you would come back for 6 to 8 weeks, and we would talk about the same dream twice a week for an hour, the same dream, deep analysis. We get into every little thing and talk about your life, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really shortening the process to try and give people something. So long story short, what we've got though, because it seems to make sense, what you should find out is that the next time, what am I trying to say? Not necessarily the next time you fall asleep or the next time you dream, but the next time you revisit this subject, you should have another dream about it in the future that helps you clarify which of these two passions to pursue. So you've gone beyond, can I do something about it? You've decided, yes, I can. I have the ability to do so. Now, what do I want? What do I think is an effective way forward?
So I'm asking that question now that we've spoken about it, like, because just that the metaphor of dealing with this, and even the relationship I have with this person, that matron person, is the relationship I have with the business, really. So it's kind of like, it's like I actually do love it, but it needs. So there's still. It's not like it's shaky. It's a weird kind of relationship that I think will need more clarity, but the clarity that I've gotten from this, the untying that we've done here, has given my brain more threads to go and just make more, and answer more questions. So
I think that's the benefit of the dream analysis type of thing, is just, I'm not going to give you a prophecy. I'm not going to give you a solution necessarily. I may tell you what you think is a likely solution. Some people come to a decision in their dreams. I'm like, here's the decision you told yourself. Now, what do you want to do with it? That's up to you. But just clarifying, what do I actually think about this thing? How do I conceptualize it?
Yeah, there wasn't an end. It didn't give me an end.
Because I think that's because you haven't made a decision yet. You haven't really decided, I'm going to commit to staying, or I need to go because I really need to pursue something else. And that's part of the conflict too, is like, it's not like you hate this place. It's not like you feel picked on and everyone's mean and a bully and it doesn't pay well. And God, what am I even doing here? You're conflicted. It's not a bad job, pays well, nice people, there's satisfaction in the work, but is that really what I want to do? And that's hard. It's hard to leave that environment where there's good things, you know?
That's why it didn't sit well to think of it as that is a person, like a representation,
not a specific person. Yeah.
Because the relationship I have with it is too deep. And it's just, it would be way too surface area for it to just be like someone. And there was very much this focus on, you have a religion, because there was that overarching narrative that my brain gave of like, we're telling your character's story, okay, and your character very much cares about this woman. so that's one of the clunky things that it put in there. So that's actually it very much, answer's not there yet, which is pretty cool. It'll be interesting to see what kind of dreams come out of
what comes next.
I remember it. Hopefully.
And I think even if you don't remember it, you may have another nocturnal experience that doesn't stick in memory, but that lets you play out the scenario of, what do I want? If I had my ideal outcomes, what would they look like if I pursue these different paths? And then you may wake up one day and say, I suddenly know what I actually want to do. I can commit to a path now. So that's fascinating too. Love that.
Well, I'll let you know if things.
Please, keep in touch, and I'll come on your streams again, and we'll, that kind of stuff.
Is that it? Are we done? I'm very. This has been amazing.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say, if you feel like we've gotten enough of an understanding and you've got enough things to think about, we don't got to keep going. That's when you're satisfied. I'm happy.
I'm very satisfied. I'm very, very much so. We popped this pimple.
We did, and it was full of Cadbury cream egg, and it was not nasty at all. It was lots of fun and delicious.
And really well done for bringing out the meaning in that. You are a wizard, because I thought it.
Thank you very much. Someday I'll really be good at this. Well then, we'll just wrap it up here. I'll do the thing. I got to look at my notes. So I know you are, now suddenly I got a frog. Oh my goodness. I had a dry mouth this whole time. Now it's phlegmy. Okay. We will say big thank you to our friend, ThatDarnKitteh. You can find her on YouTube. She is a content creator there. I'm going to throw a link in the description below, of course. For my part, would you kindly like, share, subscribe, tell your friends? Always need more volunteer dreamers, viewers, etc. 16 currently available works of historical dream literature, the most recent Dreams and Their Meanings by Horace G. Hutchinson. All this and more at BenjaminTheDreamWizard.com. And Kitteh, thank you for being here. Good talk.
All right. A pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and everybody out there, thanks for listening.
Bye.